Welcome to the show. Now please strap in for the truth and remember the words of the great Tom Cruise.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Now welcome to Off Topic on Porn.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, OTOP listeners and watchers. And we're at another episode. And so, again, as has been our custom here of late, I've got my good friend James Aldridge joining me again. And James, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing fantastic. The reason why I'm in an old ratty t-shirt is because I've been cutting grass at our church property. So you have to excuse the mess.
You've been hanging around with the old rats, huh?
Yeah.
Doing what old rats do.
Right.
All right.
Exactly. Yeah. I think our property is probably about an acre. It feels like an acre. It feels like 10 acres, but
Yeah, I know, right? I know where you were working, and it's like 2.6 acres total, but
yeah.
it doesn't take much for it to feel like 10 acres.
Right.
Yeah.
But despite
So
it
anyway,
all, I'm glad to be here. So we got a lot to cover, a lot of good stuff to cover.
I'm impressed you're awake, brother. So I'm glad you're here. All right. Well, let's get right to the subject matter tonight. I think you and I were talking offline a few minutes ago, and apparently Lindsey Graham's sister got appointed to be the interim senator in the stead of her brother who has recently passed away. Is this right?
That's right. That's absolutely right. South Carolina governor, the South Carolina governor, I was just reading about this. He appointed the sister.
Mhm.
I know people on the left are saying that this woman has no experience. We know, how can you appoint someone's sister to fill this role? Well, for starters, I did some checking on her background. She was actually she's a member of the South Carolina Commission for the Blind, and she was also president-elect of the National Association of State Agencies for the Blind. So, I mean, she has a certification in like public management or something along those lines. So she's not a dumb person. She is someone who, has public service experience. In fact, she has worked in public service for about 30 years or so in the great state of South Carolina. So, and as far as these allegations of nepotism, you know what? Have you been to America lately? This is the land of, you've had the Clintons and you've had President Bill Clinton and his wife running for president. You've had the Bush family, John Quincy Adams. Who else have you had? There's talk about President Obama's wife, Michelle,
the
possibly running for
Bushes,
president.
Clintons, the Kennedys. I mean, those are the big ones,
Right, exactly.
The Roosevelts at one point.
Right. All these folks. So, here's the situation. This isn't even a political appointment. She's just only going to serve on an interim basis until the special election. She'll be out of office in January. So hardly, nepotism. She's just filling in a role.
Yeah.
And besides, it's South Carolina's business. If they want to do this, as their choice.
Well, that's right. And, when you consider some of the things that the left are doing when it comes to like primary elections, they really don't have any room to talk. I know they're going to talk anyway because that's what people of their ilk do. They talk down the other guys and they always talk themselves up, and it doesn't matter how deeply inconsistent they are. That's what they do. They don't have character.
No, they really
they're
don't.
not people of principle, so you can't appeal to principle where they're concerned. They don't have character, as I said a moment ago. They are characters, but they don't have any moral character. So this is just, if you're like me, you get tired of hearing it, but you also never take them seriously anymore when it comes to their complaining, because their complaining is on the same level as a child sitting in a crib throwing his bottle and rattle out of the crib because he's throwing a fit. That's really the level that it's on.
Thumb sucking, huh?
You got it, brother. You got it. Rattle, rattle, rattle.
Yeah, exactly.
To all those people out there, you're welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, because I'm pretty sure if someone like Bernie Sanders or even Chuck Schumer departed the Senate early, before their time. I'm pretty sure that the most dyed-in-the-wool liberal Democrats would be that person's replacement, those gentlemen's replacement.
Mhm.
There's no question. So
Yeah.
what does this talk about fairness?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I
Now
don't know.
that I think you're exactly right on that. This is a complaint only because they have to find something to complain about, no matter who gets appointed.
Right, exactly.
There's going to be some flaw that just is unacceptable. It's
Yeah.
like, you slimy people, I tell you.
Right, exactly. The only people they would support is if the governor of South Carolina appointed a liberal Democratic
Yeah,
person to serve at the end of that term. It would have, and it
yeah.
mattered in the
If
vote
you
count.
if you would ignorantly appoint somebody like us, well, of course that's not going to happen.
Right.
And of course they wouldn't do that either. So the whole thing is just theater,
Yeah.
and not
Yeah,
good theater
exactly.
either.
Yeah, exactly.
I've
That's kind of
seen
popular.
better plays in elementary schools, man. So
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Well, speaking of political theater, one of the things you and I talked about is this recent vote in the U.S. House of Representatives.
yeah,
Members of the Democratic Party recently voted to sponsor an amendment that would have blocked $3.3 billion in aid to Israel. It didn't pass. About half the Democrats voted in favor of it. The other half didn't. Virtually no Republican voted in that direction as far as supporting a measure to cut aid to Israel.
right.
But this is a political football. And this is rather ridiculous because the thing is, the vast majority of Jewish people in America, guess what? They vote Democratic.
Yeah,
And they support the Democratic Party and they support Democratic candidates, historically speaking. So it would be quite foolish for members of Congress, Democratic members of Congress, to essentially bail on Israel. I was reading this article about Hakeem Jeffries, who, of course, is the House Minority Leader, Democratic member. He has a sizable Jewish community in his congressional district.
okay,
And he's a proud supporter of Israel,
okay.
at least because he knows that, hey, these are the individuals that support him.
You
for
better
public
be, right?
office. You better be, exactly.
You better.
So, you better, exactly. So this is creating a really sticky situation for the Democrats because on the one hand, it's fashionable to
Yeah,
denounce all things Israel. But on the other hand, a number of your political supporters are Jewish and they give you money. And there's already a push among some, I guess, political action donors to pull funding, pull
Yeah.
donations from those members of Congress that supported that tried to support this measure.
Mhm.
So they're hitting them in the pocketbook.
Understandably so. I think that's exactly the right response, no matter who it is.
Yeah.
Um,
I got a question for you, Russell. Well,
Yeah.
why do you think that that America should support Israel?
oh, well, I mean, there's a number of reasons, and yes, a lot of them have to do with our own nation's interests. But it is absolutely untenable to think that, first of all, if we went in the direction of what isolationists want us to go in, that we would be able to sustain ourselves the way that I mean, not that we couldn't do it, but we would not be the nation we are now. We would not be a better nation. We're a better nation having relationships with allies and nations that are friendly to our country. Now, I believe the closest ally we have is Israel.
Mm-hmm.
Israel is in a very hotbed area, and they have been for a long time. Now, some of the nations there in the Middle East are changing their attitude, it looks like, and that's a good thing. Thank you for the Abraham Accords. Thank you to the president for that, and it looks like some good things may be coming from that. But they still are the one Jewish state in an ocean of Muslim states.
Yeah.
And the Muslim states have largely been hostile to them since 1948. So you do the balance, or you do the math and see what balance you come to. It's either that Israel doesn't have any business existing, they don't deserve to exist as a nation, or we respect their right to nationhood and that they have a right to exist as a nation. Now, if you choose the former, then of course you're going to be against things like support for Israel. But if you choose the latter, then you have to understand, especially them being such a close ally to us, as as I indicated, arguably the closest ally we have, then because of where they are, they need as much support as they can get from a nation like ours. That's one thing. So now that's more in their interest, right? We support them because we believe they have a right to exist. And as a friend, we support them in that way. But also because they are a parliamentarian free society that is very different in their structure and religiously, and their religious, the way they handle religion in the country, than the other nations in that region, and they tend to be more in alignment with us and other nations in the West than the nations in their own region. This gives us an ability to have influence in the region. Now, why do we want influence in the region? Well, we see the war that's going on right now between the U.S. and Iran. And why is that war going on? Because these rogue states left to themselves will do like trying to make nuclear bombs so that they can actually carry out destructive force against Israel and against us and against other nations. So the fact that Israel's there and they are strong, in fact, they are the strongest military force in that region, and they are allied with us, does suit our special interest needs as a country. And the fact that they were able to partner with us and still are actually in this way, in this initiative, is, I think, ratification enough that support for them is warranted. Look, if we're able to rely on their military and their special forces and their intelligence agencies to do things that benefit us, tell me how that's not worthy of support.
Right. Exactly.
We are the most economically blessed nation by far on the face of the earth. I was making this point about the Nigerian crisis recently. We have a moral responsibility because we have the power and authority to make a difference in that, and we should have intervened, and we did intervene, and we likely will intervene again if more Christians get slaughtered there.
Yes.
People don't understand morality very well these days, James. If you have the power to stop a tyrant and you don't stop the tyrant, you are just as bad as the tyrant.
Yes,
You're participating.
you are the tyrant. Yes.
It's funny, the leftists kind of understand this because they'll say things like silence is violence. Of course, they're saying it about supporting despotism. but that's the idea. One of our founders, I forget which one it was, said the only thing for evil to prevail is for good men to do nothing.
Right.
And that's what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
So also, they are good partners in other ways. For one thing, we are a nation that, as I've said before, is built on the Judeo-Christian ethic. And the reason it is because the people that were in this nation that founded it were largely Christians, and there were Jewish people too that helped the republic be formed. Now, if you take your faith seriously as a Jew or as a Christian, how likely is it that you would like to have as unencumbered access to the Holy Land as possible, especially to Jerusalem? Now, people may not like me saying this. Some people may not. I'm sure some people won't like it. But the fact of the matter is, I kind of like being able to go to Israel when I want to, and to walk where Jesus walked, to walk where Yeshua walked, and to walk where some of the other characters of the Bible walk, and to see, what happened to the Danites up at Tel Dan, and to look at the different sites there at the Temple Mount, and to actually experience the true history that these structures and sites represent. And there's a host of other things I could name. I would like to have unencumbered access. Most Jewish people I know would like to have unencumbered access. So many Christians like having that unencumbered access. So it's good that we have we are allies with the country that actually controls these sites.
Absolutely.
By and large. Now, I don't know, maybe Bethlehem is getting a little bit tenuous.
Yeah.
You and I have visited Bethlehem together. Thank goodness, because I don't know if that'll always be the case that we can do that. But yeah, I mean, I think that there's all kinds of, and I'm not even citing all of them. I've talked a long time here, so I'm going to turn it back to you, but and see what you have to say. But the fact of the matter is, they are our closest allies in the world now. And if they don't have our support, then that could imperil them, which is precisely the point for these people who are wanting to end the support. They want Israel to be destroyed.
Yeah, they do.
That's the point.
Yeah. The only thing I was going to add to that, and thank you for your comments, it's just a reminder. We've talked about this on this episode, on this show before, in Genesis chapter 12, verses 1 through 5.
Yeah.
God does make a promise to Abraham and his descendants. Those who bless you will be blessed. Those who curse you will be cursed. The United States has given Israel about $290 billion since 1948. It is the number one beneficiary of foreign aid from the United States. And I would argue that there's probably no other reason more why the United States has been blessed than our support for Israel. And I think in addition to everything you're saying,
I think you're right.
I think it's the right thing, but I think it's we're benefiting from God's blessing.
Yeah.
In fact, just the other day, Malaysia announced that they were expelling all Israelis from their country.
Yeah.
We'll see how that works.
Yeah.
For those who curse Israel will be cursed.
Yeah.
So we shall see what impacts it'll have on a country like Malaysia. But honestly, I think as long as the United States continues to support Israel, I think we'll be a blessed nation. I think once that ends, possibly with the new president, whoever that is, or some future leader, I think we're going to start seeing a reversal of that blessing.
Well, it is a concern because we have so many people who are anti-Israel and so much anti-Semitism. Just it seems like in a short period of time it cropped up in this country, and part of that is because people who have been tainted by the modern education system here in the United States, they've been indoctrinated in this and other heinous critical theory things. And so these younger people who are students or recently graduated young adults that are screaming and pulling their hair out by the roots about this stuff, they just don't know what they are talking about, but they
really
think
don't.
for the world that they do.
Yeah.
And
what?
And the word keeps spreading. And if anti-Semitism spreads enough to where we get, as you indicated, presidents and representatives and senators and eventually Supreme Court justices and all of it see things in an anti-Semitic way, that's going to imperil our nation greatly.
Yeah.
Very much so. And it seemed unthinkable for most of our history as a nation. It's kind of scary that half the Democrat Party supported this.
Yeah. Yeah, but fortunately, you have individuals like Senator John Fetterman from Pennsylvania, who's a Democratic senator, and he's come out and said this is the red line.
Yes.
As if the Democratic Party denounces all support for Israel, that is a red line for him. That's reason for him to not be part of the party anymore.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
And he and Bill Maher and other Democrats that I disagree with on so many things. When it comes to the Israel issue, I'm right in lock stock alignment with them. Now that they're on the left, right? Let's go to the right. People like Candace Owens.
Oh, right.
She doesn't have the sense God gave to a brass monkey when it comes to this subject. Now, look, I love the lady, but and spoke very well of her and supported her, and I mean, didn't financially support her, but supported her verbally and bought her book and gave other people copies of her book at one point, but just I was a Candace Owens kind of a person. On this thing here, she has completely turned me not against her, but I don't support her anymore.
I don't support her.
I don't look at her. I don't watch her podcast. I don't listen to her. When people start trying to say, "Oh, she's got some good points," I argue with them because she most certainly does not have good points. When she says stuff, some of the things that she said about Erica Kirk, when she says things that she says against guys like Frank Turek, and you and I know who Frank Turek is.
Yeah,
she simply does not know what she's talking about. Well, we got a lot of people that don't know what they're talking about these days, James. They just talk.
Yep.
And so it's in this conspiracy theory. Look, some conspiracy theories are true, and you know that's true, right?
Sure.
But a lot of these contrived ones, like that one, it's obviously not true on its face, and yet she just keeps pumping it out there because she's got a following that blindly follow her, and they give her the support that she needs to keep perpetuating something like that.
Yeah.
And so now she's supposedly on the right.
Right.
And then what about Tucker Carlson, excuse me? What about him?
Yeah.
I mean, what's going on there?
He's left the Republican Party. I say good riddance.
Well, but is he conservative or did he flip? Because the left doesn't like him still.
And no one likes him.
Yeah, nobody likes him. Yeah.
Nobody likes you.
And what's this Nick Fuentes guy? What's up with him?
Yeah.
I mean, why does he even get airtime, James? You know,
I know.
You've been in the media.
Mm-hmm.
Why does he get airtime? I don't get it.
All I can say is there's something supernatural going on. You know, like you mentioned, in just a very short period of time, you know, we've seen this proliferation of hatred towards God and God's people. I mean, people wonder why we support Israel. Well, God supports Israel. I mean, it's in the scripture. It's been in scripture for thousands of years. And all Israel will be saved through faith in Jesus, the Messiah. It's actually in the Bible. So for any person in the West to say, I don't know why anyone can support Israel or the Jewish people, there's something wrong with you because you obviously don't read the Bible. Yeah. The Bible you claim to read and revere and love, you don't read it because it does say something about God keeping his promises.
Yes, that's right. But you have to remember, and I know you know this, that there are those who are professing Christians who are typically from a more covenantal theology ilk.
Yeah.
That believe the church has replaced Israel, that today's Israel is illegitimate, and so they're adding to they're helping with the pile on here also.
Yeah.
And if you follow their logic in their biblical interpretation, they start, as I've said before, they start in the New Testament, and then they work their way backwards instead of starting with the first source and moving forward, which is the right way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And they come to some conclusions that are not good.
Yeah, some pretty hairy conclusions.
Yeah,
it's a principle. What do we talk about? It's a principle of first mention. The first time you read about something in Scripture, usually in the Old Testament, it colors and shapes of how you ought to see it in later Revelation.
So when you read what you read in Genesis 12, and then it's reiterated in Genesis 15 and a host of other passages, maybe we take that seriously, and maybe we take it, instead of saying, well, what was really in the mind of God was the church, when he said that, instead of all that kind of foolishness, let's just take it for what the author originally meant and what the original audience would have understood, and let's move forward from there. Yeah.
Absolutely. Because one of the things we've always said, you and I have often said this, if God turns his back on his people, the Jewish people, what hope do the rest of us have? Yeah. What right do we have to think that God...
He either keeps his promises, James, or he doesn't.
Yeah, exactly.
And you just said he's a promise-keeping God.
He's a promise-keeping
God. Either keeps his promises or he doesn't. And if he doesn't do it one time, there's no integrity left. There is no trusting that he won't do it over and over again.
Right. Exactly.
He's just as capricious as any human being, you know.
Right. Exactly. And that's ridiculous. That's
that's a fake God I just described.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Real God honors his word.
Right. Exactly. Because it's impossible for God to lie. He's not a man that he should lie.
Right.
You know, as Scripture teaches in, I believe, was it Numbers?
Yeah.
It's in there, like your old professor. No, I think it was a pastor of yours. Had mentioned one time is in there. But Whaley of the Baal, the whale's belly.
Yeah,
He in there.
yeah, he was down there. Anyway, he was down there. Yeah,
He was down there.
the
Yeah,
belly of the whale instead of, but he said the whaley of the Baal accidentally.
Whaley of the Baal.
in his
That
sermon.
pastor. Yeah, he
So,
he down there anyway. So he's down there.
yeah. So anyway,
So,
I think Israel. I'm glad that measure was soundly defeated, but I think that we should pay attention to the fact that there's a considerable number of people on the left who have penetrated deeply into the Democrat Party and are really trying to flip things
yeah,
with regard to that. And then we've got, and so then on the right, instead of the right being the one that holds the standard and holds the line and keeps evil from coming into the situation, we've got people on the right that are vacillating on this. And that's,
Yeah.
I think, another concern. Fortunately, it's not most, but still, any amount is more than it should
it's
be.
too much. It's definitely too
Yeah,
much.
that's right.
I agree with you, and I would just urge our audience members to really consider that a lot of the stuff has been in the good book for many thousands of years, and the end times, all you know what's going to break loose. Nations will turn their backs on the one true living God, turn
Yes.
their backs on Israel, and these are all birth pains toward the end. So come, oh Lord, come. But oh man, we ain't seen nothing yet. But I would just say we gotta keep our wits about ourselves, because there's no persecution that we're going through now that people thousands of years haven't gone through.
Yeah.
And
we need to stay true to God's people, whether they're Christians or whether they're Jewish people in Israel. So,
Mhm.
well, James, that I think brings us to the end of another OTOP podcast episode, and interesting subject matter this evening. I do want to let everyone know that after next week's podcast episode, I will be out of pocket for 2 weeks. And so James is going to take over, and he's going to handle things himself. I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know if he's going to fly solo or invite somebody or whatever. We're all going to be surprised. But James,
Yeah.
I appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to when I get a chance to see those episodes, which I will naturally watch. So I wanted to let everybody know that, so that you wouldn't tune in 2 weeks and either freak out or rejoice, whichever kind of person you are, that I'm not on here. It's very temporary. And so for all you OTOP viewers and listeners out there, we always want to remind you to please like, comment, and share and subscribe to the channel, and help us to spread the OTOP message. Also, our OTOP email address is otopnow@gmail.com, and you can send us perspectives on what do you think we ought to cover? What are some interesting topics? They don't have to be news items. In fact, we'd like to get some ideas on things to talk about that aren't necessarily news items, but are high importance, high interest topics that are maybe ancillary to the news. If you have such ideas, we would love to hear from you. Email us at otopnow@gmail.com, or you can just leave comments in the comment section below here. And we will appreciate it very much. James, you have any final comments?
No, just have a fantastic week, everyone.
All right. Well, then I'll just say that, as we always love to point out, you don't always have to be on topic. You can be off topic, but you must always be on point. So y'all have a wonderful week, and we will see you at the next episode. So long, everyone.